as we successfully created our project, we initialize repository, we will push some code, some basic .NET Core MVC project. What we want to do now is to enable deployment of this code. So we essentially need to create a build pipelines and a release pipelines in order to make our code deployable to the certain resource. Now, those pipelines that we want to create afterwards are going to be executed in a certain machine. So it can be either Windows machine, Linux, macOS, anything like this. We would first need to create this machine. So basically DevOps, Azure DevOps before was offering two options. One was a hosted pipelines and one is self-hosted agents. What we're going to use here is a self-hosted agent because Microsoft is now changing a bit the policies of the hosted agents, and essentially you have to write them letter, etc., which is a bit of annoying. So just for this purpose, I would like to create a build agent running on the build server and executing the tasks in the next stage, executing the pipelines. So how do we create a build server? So build server, as said already, it's machine. It's just like a Windows machine in our case, and it is going to have a certain software required to execute the tasks specified in a pipeline. So this task in my case are going to be the task of building the code, packing the code, and afterwards deploying that code. So essentially what I'm going to need to have is certain build tools, and I already have like a Visual Studio which is going to be able to do all this. And I'm going to deploy the build agent on my machine. So don't be afraid of all this weird terminology. It's going to be explained very, very soon. So agent pools. So if we just navigate here, I already did to project settings and agent pools, you will see already two predefined agent pools, which is called Azure Pipelines and a default one, but we're going to create a new one. I'm just going to click add pool, and it will ask us what kind of agent pool do we have. And we're going to use a self-hosted one and adding some name, quite simple. So local container, something like this. So local machine container, this is what I want to use. So what had we created right now? So we have created a logical container for our build agents, folder essentially for our agents. So when we click on this one, everything is obviously empty, but we have a tab agents. And if we go here, we see we don't have anything. So we can click either right here on a right upper corner, or right now in the middle of the screen saying new agent. So we click this one, and we have the possibility to download the agent code and to set up the agent. So agent is essentially a service that is listening for the tasks that are going to be executed on the build server. We can have multiple agents running in the same container, and we can have multiple agents running on the same machine. So I'm just going to download this quickly, and after the download is completed, I'll create one small folder on my desktop, and I'm just going to name it build agent 1, something like this. One suggestion from my side would be to use quite simple names. Do not have any spacing or anything like this. Be aware that the tasks are being executed on your machine. So if you have some complicated path to the folder where you're holding the build agents, this could cause a problem with the maximum with exceeding of the maximum size of the path. But also if you have a spaces, this is actually received for the failure. It always complains about something. So what do we do? So I have successfully downloaded the agent, and now I would like to extract those files quickly to the folder which was previously created. So just give it a second, and I'm opening this folder, and this is what I have. So I have bin externals config run. So how do I start this? So I can just go here and open a PowerShell. It's really important to use it as administrator. because we will essentially create certain Windows services at the moment if we prefer to. So if we prefer to, say, meaning we can run it as a console application or as a Windows service. So how do we create a service? So first we will write config.cmd, press a tab, and then we'll be able to start configuring our system. So let me just quickly go back to the screen. You see here the name of our environment is actually dev azure com size of 8. So this is what pipeline is asking for, to enter server URL. We're entering this, pressing enter. Now the next question is authentication type, and the default value is a PAT, which stands for personal access token. And this works completely fine for me, because essentially what I want to do is I want to just put this magic string, which will enable this service to authenticate with the DevOps. It's quite simple. So I would like to use this one. And now I should enter the personal access token. To create a personal access token, we just click on the window here, press personal access tokens, and create a new token. So as you see here, I already created one because I really wanted to test before. And now I will just create a new one for fun of it. And I'm just going to call this BA1. Organization would be still size of 8, and my expiration date, I will just custom define it to run for the whole year, and I will give it a full access. So this is not always the smartest thing to do. Actually, it's dumbest probably, because you want to give as minimum roles as you can to a certain service or user. But I just want to go here to the full access, because I really don't want to go through whole scope right now, everything what you can assign. So just giving a full access, and we're getting the token here. So I'm just going to copy it to the clipboard, and I'm going to paste the personal access token here. So now the service is going to essentially successfully, he already connected with the server, and he's asking, what is the agent pool? Where do you want to store this? This build agent? And I want to store it in this local M container. So let me just click here on agent. So I'm going to say local M container. Pressing enter. He's asking me to put in agent name. I'm just going to call it BA1. Hit enter. Now he's going to scan the computer for tool capabilities and ask work folder, so where he's going to run all his tasks. Work sounds good to me. Run as a service. Yeah, let's just run it as a service. Enter user for the service. This is completely fine, and that should be it. So we have successfully started our build agent. So now it's still offline, so it could be that I have a bit of a firewall issue, but what I'm going to do right now is I just want to also show how can we run this directly in the PowerShell. So I can just say here, run cmd, press a tab, and then the service is going to start because he already has a configuration. And even if we just quickly go here, you will see that the service is essentially online. So this is more or less it. Now you can have even more agents there. You just like copy paste those files and create new structure, and that's essentially it. This is how you create your build agent using the Azure DevOps.